We are not so different.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, my We Are Not So Different family. Thank you for choosing this morning to spend with me and tuning into another episode. This morning's guest, I have Miss Aimee. Okay, so don't let me do it. Cerka.
Yep, you got it.
Awesome sauce. And allow me to give you a little bit of background about Miss Aimee. Miss Aimee is the money confidence coach. Ooh la la. She helps families to master their money. Her principles and style of teaching allow you to create the financial life you dream of without pinching pennies or putting in 80 hours a week. I know that's right. You can live your life while improving your finances. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Aimee Cerka.
Thank you. And oh my gosh, I just went Andrea, I can't even talk. So
It's fine.
thank you.
You're
So glad to
welcome.
be here today.
I'm so glad. Because I'm moving into my next series, and this next month is going to be all about relationships. So
Yeah.
marriage, life, marriage, divorce, aftermath, all the good stuff, anything relationship related. And what really attracted me to you was the whole discussion with the money and relationships. Because let me tell you, well, I'm sure you already know. It can be a very sensitive, a very debilitating if you let it be. It's a hard conversation to have. And finances will split a marriage. They'll tear a marriage apart, or a relationship apart. I don't want to separate or just limit this to marriages, partnership, whatever, your mate. So
Your person.
your person, yes, ma'am. But before we get started, look, I told you we love babies here. It's all right.
I know.
Is somebody trying to make their debut?
She left her sandwich unattended and the dog got to it. You want to come say hi? No. Come on, guys. I'm on the video. You know better. Yes, come here quickly. Brooklyn, you gonna say hi? Your forehead. Come in, sweetie.
Oh my gosh. Hi, baby.
Can you say hi? Thank you, Wyatt. You go out.
Yes.
That one's gonna be 3 next week.
Okay. Well, happy early birthday, love.
Can you say thank you? You're gonna play bashful? Yeah. Okay. You gotta be quiet though. Okay?
Yeah, okay, that's fine. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, my listeners, my viewers, whoever you are, y'all know the drill. Find your favorite spot on the couch. Get your favorite drink, whether it's Kool-Aid or Cavassier. Kool-Aid for the baby, no Cavassier for the baby. Whether it's Kool-Aid or Cavassier, and just settle into this conversation. Tune in. Maybe grab you a piece of paper, some notes, because I feel like Amy's going to drop some nuggets that y'all need to take heed and maybe implement into your situation with your person. Boom. So, Miss Aimee, I start my podcast off the same way. Everybody gets the same 2 questions before we dive in. First question: if you had the undivided attention of an audience of your choosing, who would that said audience be, and what would you tell them?
It would definitely be the families, because that's my passion. Families with young kids. Now the dog's gonna come in too.
We love fur babies too. It's all right.
The families with the young kids, and really telling them that there's hope, because there's so much out there. Okay, well, it's fine. Leave her alone. There's so much information and stuff that comes from media and all of that, and we just feel like there's no other way, that like life has to be like this is just the way it is. And if there's nothing else that I've preached for the last year, which I'm sure we'll probably talk about that here in a little bit, but no, Wyatt, you know better. Will, I said no. Wyatt, go. If there's nothing else that I've talked about for the last year, it's that like there is hope. Like it is possible for you. So just keep an open mind and really listen, because it's not so far-fetched as you might think it might be.
All right. And that's something I think everybody needs to hear. I mean, I know that you want to, the families was your audience. But man, affording hope to someone who is hopeless is like a life changer. So kudos. And then number 2, if you have the opportunity to speak to a younger version of yourself, let's say 45-year-old Aimee, what do you think she needs to hear?
I thought about that a lot.
Okay.
Because it's hard. I know there's like probably advice and like the telling myself, you are worthy and it doesn't matter what's coming, that like you still matter, you're still heard, you're still valuable. But part of me also knows, like, if that stuff hadn't happened, like I wouldn't be who I am today. But I think I'm gonna go with that. Like, you are worthy and you're valuable and you're heard.
Awesome.
Medicine. Oh, you're vitamin? Okay, once we're done.
I love it. No, and the reason I don't mind and I encourage like interruptions, because this is life, right? Okay, yeah, we're doing a podcast, great, but at the same time, we're still living life. So that means babies, that means fur babies, 4-legged ones, that means all the stuff that happens around. And that's why I'm like, this is life, enjoy it. Even wow. So yes, what's this one's name again?
This one's Brooklyn. This one's my youngest.
Brooklyn, welcome to the podcast, baby. You made your first debut. Oh, we are not so different. All right, so I want to jump in because, as you may or may not know, I stalk my guests, not in like a creepy, I'm gonna get you one way or another type of creepy stalk, but like, I'm looking at your Facebook, I'm looking at your websites, just so I can get a better feel. And I did, and I had the opportunity to read your story, and my God. So I want to say thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being vulnerable to so many. Thank you for letting people know that today does not last always. Like what you just said, like you want to tell your families that there is hope. Man, that is like life. And you listed so much, like from one of the things you said, the statement, the catcher, we've gone from food stamps, WIC, and SSI to paying off $75,000 in debt and improving our net worth by over $175,000. Bang. And I'm thinking, so then you have the marriage, the son to getting married, to the trucking company, to health issues. Like so when you say, hey, there's hope, after reading that, I'm like, I know that she's talking from a place of experience and not just from a place of, here, I'm trying to capture your business. No, this woman has walked through some things and she's got the scars to prove it. So without going into too much detail, because I really want to route people to your website so they can see it for themselves, but give us like a snippet of like your experience in life that has led you to this point, of course.
Yeah. So I think it's always important to kind of start at, I say the beginning, but it wasn't really the beginning. Okay. You cannot sing though. That's like, nobody's gonna be able to hear us talk. That when my oldest was born, I was a very young single mom. He was born a couple days before my 19th birthday. I had worked my way up. I was always like the work ethic, like not really relatable in high school, which really served me later on because like I had to work for everything, right? But yeah, it's beautiful singing, but hold on, okay? But I had worked my way up. I was in management in a fast food restaurant at Taco Bell, but like that wasn't going to work because I had to be able to work when my son was in daycare. So it was all orchestrated. And if you believe, like for me, I believe it was God orchestrated, universe, whatever you want to call it. Like I ended up in insurance because it was just like a Craigslist ad that I responded to.
Craigslist.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was Craigslist. Ended up like, that was how I got my start. It was like the whole make your own hours. Like you can make as much as you want, as long as you hustle type thing, selling life insurance. And yeah, they kind of lied on the whole making your own hours thing. I had to be in the office until 9 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays, which is not like during working hours. Right. Just in case you didn't know. But I ended up that I found something else. Like the first job that I walked into was a great fit. It was still in insurance, working with State Farm. And it was because of that position that like really everything changed. And it was done from a place of your baby. Where's your baby? You don't know? I don't know either. You're my baby? Yeah, I think so. But it was done from a place of like, I had a great boss. I was able to leave if he was ever sick. I mean, he was a really healthy kid, but if he was ever sick or parties, I could leave. Okay. I could go. That was no problem to get off. But like, I wanted to be able to do more. I wanted to do more for my family and be able to take vacations, not have to say no all the time, and like be able to be there for more of the little stuff. And that was really what sparked the journey, was like, I have to figure this out one way or the other. Dove into some personal development books. Originally, it was just to improve like my sales skills at work. Got it from a family friend who's actually now my stepdad. But through all of that, I'd worked, gotten raises at work. I was working on my finances, met my husband, which I swear that wouldn't have happened if we hadn't have worked on the personal development stuff, right? We got married. Couple months later, or I guess at least 3, because I was 3 months pregnant, we made the decision that I could leave my job.
Okay.
So that was a Friday. The following Monday, my husband was self-employed. He's a truck driver. And that business that we were contracted with, of course, there was a contract there, and the other guy was essentially a hothead. He got mad, kind of decided to fire my husband, for lack of a better word, broke the contract. And even though he was then liable, I think it was like $25,000 or something crazy, or 40. We talked to several lawyers, but he didn't have any assets. So it didn't do us any good to sue him, because, they kind of have to have
Right.
assets to have to pay you something. So we went to 0 income over 3 days at 3 months pregnant. That was a crazy week. There was a lot of hustle that like happened in figuring it out. But he went back to work for a company that he had worked for before, but it was a 50% income cut. So like working through all of that, but like everything during the pregnancy was great, no complications. And when he was born, a couple hours after he turned born, the pediatrician came in to do their check on him, and he turned purple on the table. So they took him back to their NICU. We're trying to run some tests, figuring out what was going on. And it turns out he had what was called esophageal atresia with a TEF fistula. So for those of us that aren't medical doctors,
Thank you.
yeah, I know, right? I was like, that what? That means his esophagus wasn't connected to his stomach. So he was transferred over to the local children's hospital and had his first surgery at less than 48 hours old, and was in the NICU a total of 7.5 weeks. He had five surgeries, 7 procedures. I don't know what the heck the difference is. He's still under anesthesia for both of them, but so we'll go with 7. But during all that time, when we left the NICU, he had what was called a G button. So it's a port in your stomach, kind of like you see like your NG tube, which is what a lot of people will get like if they need nutrition they can't eat. So the G button is a permanent port, or semi-permanent, permanent port in your stomach. And he got all of his nutrition through there, couldn't take anything by mouth. And there was appointments weekly for years. And before we go farther, he's doing great now. He's officially G button graduate. His sister took care of that last year when we were on our 5-year anniversary like getaway. She ripped it out for him. So we hadn't used it in about a year. It was time for it to come out. We just didn't want to mess with like trying to go to the hospital with everything else. So it was fine. The site had already looked great. It was like just like a instant, like it was a little bit of pain there, but he was fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
He was fine. Everything's great now, and he's doing fantastic. But during that time, even though we had gotten nowhere near like where we wanted to be, and everything that had happened, we had done enough that like when it really mattered, we had dug our well before we were thirsty type thing. Like, because I was there every single day. I left to take care of myself because self-care is important, and to spend time with my oldest. But like, I was there, and so many other parents weren't able to do that. And I was there for all the appointments. I wasn't having to try and ask off work and juggle all of that. Like, I was able to be that person. And that was really like what sparked the journey. And there's more stuff with my husband a couple of years later, but that was really the pivotal point where I made the decision to not just because I had like a side hustle business, that financial literacy was a part of it, but that was really when the passion for finances started, that was going to be my focus. And that was what I was going to help people on.
Wow. I love it. And like I said, more so because I mean, it's great to have the experience as it pertains to book knowledge, pedigree, blah, 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 blah. But it means something. It's something, there's a different level of intensity, a different level of passion, a different level of connectivity. You can relate when you've actually walked through some stuff. So like I said earlier, thank you for your transparency, man. I'm sure this is gonna really help some people. So one of the things, and I guess I want to go here first, so that way I don't want to miss like on my time. One of the things that you talked about was a 5-step talk on how to stop fighting with your spouse around money. Yes. And I know anyone who is married, or your person, so it doesn't have to be marriage, whatever it is, y'all done had some discussions about money, and whether that be verbally or non-verbally, there have been some communications about money. Take us through those 5. It's not like, unless it's a patented process, I'm not like trying to give away. No, okay.
No, you're good.
Okay, yes, take us through that.
We'll have to do the abbreviated version because you get me talking on this and I'm like an hour. So
okay.
I do want to mention, like, before, this is always like my little disclaimer as before we really start getting into like teaching, is my coach has something that he calls already always listening. And that's what we do when we step into something and you're like, okay, yeah, I know that. And then we kind of tune it out because, you know, we know that, right?
Right.
So I always ask as we begin, like, let's just put that to the side, keep an open mind, because there's something that you might hear, that one nugget that'll totally change your life. And I want you to get that. So just keep an open mind. Okay. Yeah. So the 5-step process. The first one is understanding what is, which might sound a little strange, but simply like, when these things happen with our spouse or our significant other, your person, let's all just be transparent. We all know it happens. Like, there's none of us here that are perfect, but we also have to understand, like, okay, is your spouse doing this or your person doing this because they're trying to hurt you? Or is this, we all have our backgrounds that we're coming to the table. So it might feel like they're doing this to try and hurt you because of our perception and our upbringing and the way that everything happened. But if they care about you, they're most likely not trying to hurt you. And if they are, there's a couple reasons for that. I mean, maybe, you know, hurting people hurt people. So this could be kind of like a lashing out thing, but the other reasons and stuff, you probably have to get in some more like professional help. But for the most part, if we think about it, like, they're not intentionally trying to cause you pain. And if we look at that and can objectively think about that, because, you know, in the moment, it's not always fun to be objective like that, but it makes it a little bit easier and it makes it a little less personal. So a lot of the 5 steps that we talk about here, it's about looking at things objectively, because when we get into those emotional decisions, we set ourselves up for failure, because, you know, this emotional decision. So the first thing is just like, okay, remember, they have their background and they're approaching this, so they're the best of their knowledge. Like, they're not trying to hurt you. They're not trying to cause you pain. And like, just understand that's what it is. Okay. The second one is called blow money. I swear this is what saves marriages and relationships. Blow money. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So this is part of the money management system. This comes out of your play account is what we teach it. But blow money is the money that you and your significant other both have that you get to go spend on whatever the heck you want. Okay. So typically one of us is a spender and one of us is a saver. And that can cause some strife there, right? Especially for the saver getting onto the spender. I feel like that's where that normally happens at. But if you both have separate funds, separate blow money accounts, then you're able to go do whatever the heck you want with the money, as long as it's legal, moral, and ethical. That is the disclaimer I have to put on there.
Thank you for that disclaimer. Yes.
I never thought about that until I was giving this presentation. I was like, oh my goodness, like, I need to say this. Like,
Yes.
I'm not saying like don't do anything bad. But ideally it's in a separate account. I recommend having multiple accounts. It makes everything so much easier when you're managing your money, but having separate funds, y'all go do whatever the heck you want with it. It doesn't matter what you spend it on. Like, the spouse doesn't get to judge. If you want to save it, you can save it. But having that money that's your money makes a big difference, because it's not just like that pot there. And income wise, like, let's say your spouse makes a lot more than you, or you make a lot more than your spouse, it needs to be equal. It doesn't matter like income level there. It truly needs to be equal to keep it like fair and to keep the peace there. Now mine is higher than my husband's, because I have 3 little eating machines that are typically with me when I go spend my
Eating
money.
machines.
So that's where
Okay.
I have mine. My 9-year-old, I swear, like, he's going on 16. He eats more than I do already. And I'm like,
Oh, wow.
food's already getting more expensive. Can you please
Yeah.
make your own sandwich? This is not time for second lunch. Like, but keeping it even like that. So if there's more, we also have situations that there's like a dining out fund within, it's all within that play account that we create. But the dining out fund is like for when y'all go do stuff together as a family, or a date night fund. Like, we have those, it's all in there, but the blow money is again for you to go spend whatever the heck you want on. Okay. And number 3 is to budget. Now, if you're thinking budget is a 4-letter word, we don't talk about that word in this house. It's a bad word. I've heard it all. We've got a simple switch for you. Instead of a budget, we're going to call it a money management system. And the reason that we have to have a budget is because a budget is simply setting the intention of where you want your money to go. It's not saying that you can't spend money on anything. It's just being intentional about it, because if we're not intentional about it, there are thousands upon millions of dollars invested into advertising and marketing by businesses that are successful. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're not intentional with your money, somebody else will be. And
Yes.
there's I don't remember that. The portion of the people who don't have budgets totally just left my mind. But of the people who don't use a budget, there's normally 3 reasons. I'm doing pretty good. I don't really need a budget. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. It doesn't matter to budget anyways, or I don't know where I'm spending money at. But of those, that group, they overspend an average of $7,500 every single year by not having a budget. Now, I don't know about you, but I could take a nice vacation to the Caribbean for $7,500. So like, let's go.
Goodness gracious.
So we have to flip that mental thought process, that programming, and there's 3 areas of our finances that we talk about. So we have the defense, which is traditionally like you're saving money, a lot of what we think of, but it's taking care of what you already have. The offense, which is making more money. This can be in your job. This can be investments. This could be a side hustle. This could be if you're a full-time business owner, all of those things. And then what we call the battlefield, which is money mindset, economics, rules of the game, kind of like having your playbook type thing. So that money mindset piece is a lot of what we work on. And it's the part that so many people miss because you can't like physically touch it. So reframing how we think about budget is definitely part of that battlefield work there. Okay, so that's number 3, budgeting. And just a quick note on that, there's so many different ways to budget. You can find one that works for you. The one that I use and recommend and absolutely love is percentage-based budgeting. Now, I did create like my own system with that, but the reason why percentage-based budgeting is so game-changing is because it helps, like, if you're paid inconsistently, like it varies, maybe you're hourly, like husband's a truck driver, he's paid by a mile, and like entrepreneur here, it varies, then like it fixes that. It doesn't matter if you had the high months and the low months, it really like attributes for that. The other thing is it prevents what we call lifestyle creep. So if you've ever had that creep, CREEP. Yep. Mm-hmm. So if you've ever had that, like, if we could just make $500 more, we'd be set. Like, I could save, I could invest, we could do date night, all those things. And then you make the money and you're like, where the heck did it go?
Where did it
That's
go?
Lifestyle creep. So when you percentage-based budget, you're automatically saving more, you're automatically investing more, you automatically have more money to do fun stuff with, and then you automatically increase like what we call your necessities, which is where the bills come from. So you can go do more fun stuff with that. Number 4 is probably something you're gonna assume I'm gonna say, but it's so true, is communicate. So if we are not communicating,
please communicate.
yes. And again, this is one of the things I talk about, like with the money mindset. Like we never arrive. It's never like, ta-da, we're here. This is like taking a shower. Like, please do this regularly, okay?
Yes.
We have to work on our communication skills regularly. Like
yes.
that whole men are from Mars and women are from Venus thing. Like I swear it's true. Oh, thank you. I swear it's true. It's something that we never arrive in. And I think if you approach your communication with the first step, which is understanding what is, it makes it a lot easier. But a couple things I always like to mention is it's not a bad thing to walk away and come back and have the educated decision, like after the heat of the moment, because so many things that can be said or shouldn't be said when we're upset like that. So just don't be afraid to walk away. But if you do walk away, come back, because we need to resolve the argument here.
Yeah,
the confrontation.
We need a resolution.
The 5 Love Languages and Personality Plus, those 2 books, I swear, were game changing. I read them before I got married, but I read them on a regular basis because, again, we're just, oh, don't hit that. That was the power button. When we read those, we're just able to help understand the other person so much better and really stand to it objectively. The other part that I want to make sure we mention when we communicate, just like there's normally a spender and there's normally a saver, there's normally one of us that is good with money and likes to budget and the other one doesn't.
Yep, that's about right.
So I'm obviously the one that likes to budget. So if we don't set these processes in place where we're communicating about it, then we end up with, we, the budgeters, feel like we're always having to tell the significant other no, and it becomes like I'm always having to tell you no, or I'm always having to do this, and there can be a negative feeling there that we create.
Resentment to creep in,
yeah. So when we set this up, I teach something that's called a month-end process. So at the end of the month, we're kind of finalizing all our numbers, looking back at what actually happened. That's a great time to sit down with your spouse and just kind of look over it. Like, okay, this is where we're at. This is what's going on. This is what we are doing currently. This is kind of like what happened, and just kind of keeping the conversation open. Another strategy that I had heard once, instead of like me saying no, we could say the budget says no, and just creating like that third party person.
I like that.
Blame it on the budget.
Yes.
Just remember, your budget is still a good thing. So we can't like get rid of the budget because it keeps saying no. But there is like a reframe in that. It's just not right now instead of no. But that communication, it just makes such a big difference. And being on the same page and not feeling like you're the person that always has to say no it can be so relieving, because I find, especially as the budgeter, we'll add extra stress and pressure on ourselves because, you care about this person. You want them to be happy. So then you're trying to make all of their needs and wants happen. And they're just trying to ask if like we can go to Pizza Hut tonight or something, which is something my husband did actually ask. I'm assuming that's why that's on my mind. And then the 5th one is what I call the 24-hour rule. So with this is what you do if you'll set a limit. For ourselves, it's still like $100. So whatever the limit you set that you can comfortably spend, if you find something that you want to purchase that is over that limit, you have to wait 24 hours before you actually purchase it. So this will help eliminate a lot of like that impulse buying, like, okay, like we have to buy it now. The only exception that we create to this is if it's something that you already know and you've committed that that you want, and it goes on sale. So like if you've already picked it out and you're just kind of like waiting for a sale and it goes on sale, like you can go ahead and buy it. So I did that last year. I was getting an Instant Pot for Christmas, and I think it went on sale for Prime Deals last year. And I was like, oh, let's get it because it's like $75 off. But we had already set the intention there. So both of you have like the same limit again, the $100 or whatever you want to set it to. Like that's the money that you just got to sit on it, and you'll be amazed that you can come back with a clear decision and you feel that much more confident about it because you know it's something that you actually want. So even like buying a car, we've done this as well. Like, okay, I'll be back in the morning. Now, of course, they're going to do everything in their power to try and get you to come sit back down. But I'm like, nope, this is like, I'll be back in the morning. Yeah, we're not going to play with that right now. Okay. Just a little bit. That like, we'll be back in the morning. We'll take care of it then. And doing that is probably would be difficult to do this right now with the housing market. I just thought about that. So like set your intention beforehand. Like what are some of our must-haves for that? But stepping away from it, you'll eliminate a lot of that impulse buying that you don't really want. There is a time and place for impulse buying, and we talk about that again in the play account. We shouldn't eliminate it completely, but we do want to be smart about it. And the 24-hour rule is a great way to actually make that happen.
Wow. So before I forget, you said now the love language, there are two things as it pertains to communication. There was the love language and there was one other thing. What was it?
Personality Plus by Florence
Personality.
Littauer.
Okay. Because I know about the love language, but I wasn't sure about the personality plus. So that might be something I have to look into.
There's several different like personality assessments out there. I mean, there's tons, but I really love the way that she wrote about it because she talks about the strengths and the weaknesses. Like it's not good or bad. It's just the way that we are and the way that we respond to things. So like, this is my strength. And this is something that, okay, maybe I want to work on. This could be a perceived weakness, but like, just identifying both sides instead of focusing on just one, I felt like it made a big difference.
And then one of the other ones you said, I think that really like, I don't want to say struck a nerve, but was like ding dong, like something clicked where you were like, if you're in a relationship with your person and they're not doing it to hurt you, like, you know what? Because we take so much stuff personally. Like, I can't believe you did this to me. You didn't do it to you. Maybe it was how that person grew up with money or the different ways that they feel about money. I'm learning so much by talking to so many different people. I love what I do. But there's like so many different reasons why someone does. It's 99%, it's more than face or surface level. But what I want to know, when you get into these conversations, so when you meet with people, do you meet as like one-on-one, or is it like a couple coming at you, or like or is it like a class with a whole bunch of different people and you don't know who's in the room? Like, how do you facilitate these things?
All the above.
Okay, so how about the ones when the couples come to you? So that's what I want to know. Like, I can imagine that there are some juicy conversations that are, and maybe, I know because you're a coach, but at the same time, it's like, maybe sometimes you have to don the hat of a counselor, because I can imagine there are some things that go on and maybe some uncomfortable conversations or some tense situations that you might run into as it pertains to coaching a couple on money matters.
Yeah. There's a networking group that I'm a part of for financial coaches, and we joke that like that's our second profession. Like, welcome, you're now like an unofficial marriage counselor.
Seriously, because that's what I'm thinking. Like, I'm hearing what she's saying. I'm hearing what you're saying. I'm like, oh, I bet you some stuff goes much deeper, and some stuff probably that you had no idea, and maybe, I don't want to say weren't prepared to deal with, but you kind of have to be like ready to go there, right? If someone does.
I think there's a beauty in like being able to, again, be real. That's a lot of what I talk about. Like the kids come for like my coaching calls and stuff. Like they know that like, okay, I started my business, yes, to help other people, like to be there with my family. So if my family needs me, like my family needs me. And I always do everything I need to, like, to make it right by you. I mean, like if she comes in and crashes and burns, I'm like, all right, we're rescheduling. This one's on me. Like, no big deal.
Yeah.
But coming into it like with grace and being real, like, okay, yes, this stuff goes on. We need to be aware of it. And if there's something that comes up that like, honestly, I don't know what I would do in that situation, I'm not afraid to say like, you know what, that's really great. Like, let's table that. I'm going to go do some research on this. I'm going to come back with an answer for you. And again, like, it's not that I have to know everything. It's just about helping people find the right place. Having a referral network is good because sometimes there are situations that I'm like, that's probably a little bit too far out of my wheelhouse. But also, there's times where we meet with couples, or there's times that we'll meet one-on-one, and it'll kind of alternate because sometimes there are issues that we need to work through because we all have money mindset blocks. It's just
Yes.
fact of life. Yeah. So sometimes it's easier to work through those if we're speaking one-to-one, and then we'll come back and like go over the numbers and like talking some of those type of strategies together as a couple. And it really is about being flexible and just kind of like, again, being real, like, this is what's going on, and knowing, showing up from a place like they know that I care and they know that I truly want to help them. It helps kind of open the doors, but it also helps with that trust. Like, I'm not going to go like blab to the world if you confide in me about like something that's actually going on, because it
Yeah.
doesn't do us any good if you can't trust me to tell me what's actually going on. Like, it's this facade thing.
Yeah. So I ask this question a lot. Do you ever sit back, and not like to be in a prideful manner or anything, but do you ever sit back and consider the impact that you have on families and their lineage because of the way that you have coached, guided, empowered, increased? Like, do you think about that sometimes?
Yeah, it's a large part of like what drives me to continue on. And there was actually an exercise, because I still work with coaches, that he had us going through on whatever that was, last Thursday or something, that like, okay, your client sending you a thank you card, like, what does that say? And it really makes you think about like, okay, this isn't just about what we're doing now. This is about like the families that we can impact, that I can help them be able to do something, that they're there for their family when it matters most. And then also being able to raise their children to be able to start that much better, because I feel like we were called to do that. We were called to raise our children up so that they start like on our shoulders and are able to continue to move forward and improve. We do homeschool our children. I don't know if I mentioned that or
Okay.
not. So
Okay.
within, it's probably going to be 2022 that I'm going to create like a homeschool curriculum, because there's not a whole lot out there. And the ones that are out there, I don't really agree with all of their teachings. And I feel like it's really important that we do this. And I'm going to do it with my kids anyway. So like, let's do this and equip others to do the same,
Yeah,
to create that
man.
mindset that we need.
Wow. Okay. So
Hey,
then
Wyatt, can you go shut the door, please? Brooklyn went out and she didn't shut it.
on the flip side, so I know that we help the marriages and the couples and all that good stuff, but then on the flip side, money is money, right? So I'm sure you've had some people on the opposite side of the spectrum, maybe dealing with divorce. So then you have,
Brooklyn,
for instance,
come on, sweetie. Okay, then go get it. Will can help you. William, please help her. Shut the door, okay?
yes.
All right, we're good.
So, good. So we have this newly divorced woman, and let's say she's been married for 20 years. She's old school. You know, you come from the household where the man is the head of the household, so he's taking care of all the finances. He was the breadwinner, blah, 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 blah. She's completely like clueless as it pertains to money. And now she's out here in this new world, new life, new phase. How, I don't know if you've ever encountered anything like that, but like, how do you begin to, I guess, lay the foundation in newbies to the money management world?
I think it starts with just taking the first step. So there's a lot of mindset work that we're going to do as we go through that, and really understanding that there's grace, there's like, you know what, we're looking to move forward, and I'm sure we're going to create some money stories. Brooklyn, hey, you are okay. You can be in here, but I need you to be quiet and go shut the door. that there's those money stories that we've created, and it's not about getting rid of them, it's about handling them and having grace, knowing like you can do this, we can figure this out. There's a couple things when you're thrust into that, there's probably a tendency to feel like, okay, I need to like cut everything, like I don't know if there's going to be enough, and like just focusing on a lot of that, like that pinching pennies mentality, which I definitely don't promote because it's not successful long term. If you think about like going on a diet, we'll lose the weight in the beginning and then we fall off the diet and then we gain all the weight back and then some. So we just instead work to make those lifestyle changes so that it'll actually stick. But the important thing here is creating that positive relationship with money. So that play account and that blow money account that we talked about, like even if you feel there's not enough money, that is still something that we need to fund and we need to be intentional with, because we need to reward that process of like, if I go work hard for my money, like I get to go spend it and it becomes fun again that I can do that. William, I am on a video. You know better. Please leave and shut the door. Shut the door.
Right.
Everybody today.
All right.
But yeah, I think like that's really the most important thing, is understanding like, it's okay. And I personally haven't been through that, but you know what, my mom did, and I watched her re-enter the workforce. My parents were married for 18 years. So it was a lot of the same thing. They had made the decision that she was going to stay home and like raise us. And she had done a lot of little bit stuff, but like it was a huge transition. And I feel very blessed to have been able to see that and to see that strength. And if you're listening and you're going through that situation, I know that you have it as well. It's just about stepping into that and believing that for yourself. And if you can't believe it for yourself, I believe it for you.
Yes, Miss Aimee, I love that. Okay. So one thing you mentioned briefly was self-care. I guess I never really tied self-care into like money, but then the more I think about it, things that I really like I love to go get
Sweetie, turn the volume down.
hair done, and I love to go get my pedicure, and those things require money. So, and then I guess I'm thinking about that because you said that you witnessed your mom go through that. So you once again have walked through, you've been able to experience what that thing is like. So I'm thinking about this woman who's new to everything, and maybe she is in penny pincher mode and she thinks it's not enough. So she trying to carry everything to herself. But then you said play account. And in my mind, when you said play account first, I'm strictly thinking about two individuals who are together so that they both get the play account. But why not if I'm single, right?
Yep, you still deserve it.
Right. And I still should have that avenue where I can create to where I can still do the self-care. I totally lost my train of thought. I was going somewhere with that question because you mentioned self-care earlier. I guess I'm just putting two and two together, like with the whole self-care and the money thing. It's a necessity.
Yep. And we call those profit power-ups. So it's all the other areas of your life that are affected when you work on your finances, and are also your finances improve as you work on them. So self-care is a really big one. Like your health is another. So like, yeah, spending money on your health is important, but when you stay healthy, like it helps your finances long-term. But self-care has kind of been my thing. It's been a little over a year now that I was like, you know what, we're going to make this happen. And that was, I never worked 80-hour work weeks, but I worked 7 days a week. And there was a book that I read that was talking about like the principles as to why, and like take the day off. And I was like, I can't do this. Like, there's no way, there's too much that we have to do. And I love a good challenge. And it was my pastor that was going through a new book, but he challenged us, like, just try it. And I was like, fine, like, I'll try this. This isn't going to work. I'm going to show you.
Okay.
Yeah. So I tried it. Absolutely loved it. It was really hard in the beginning, like just to like not do anything, but now it's something that like I look forward to when I do. So typically Saturdays, but either Saturday or Sunday, I take the day off. There's no work. I unplug completely from social media. I'll do some like laundry around the house just because, like, if it's Saturday, I like to go to bed on clean sheets on Saturday. Like, that's just kind of my thing. We all take a bath and shower and all of that, clean sheets. But like, it's typically leftovers or something easy for dinner, or like kids kind of like fend for yourself, fast food, something like that. And there is nothing wrong with just hanging out all day. I can Netflix binge and play games on my phone or play with the
Speaking
kids.
my language, girl.
Yeah, just something like, there's nothing that is required for that day. And it, like, if you're thinking like, I can't do that, I've got too much stuff going on, like, you really can, because you have that much more energy to approach the day like you need to. And I also find like when that tough times hit and like it's a rough day, you can kind of push through it because you're looking forward to like, okay, on Saturday, I'm not going to have to do anything. This isn't going to matter. Like, no big deal. And life goes on when you're not on social media for 24 hours. It's
Yes, it
crazy.
It's phenomenal how that thing works, isn't it?
No.
My goodness. Okay. Well, I mean, I feel like you dropped a lot of knowledge. Like, I'm still thinking about the 5. The one that sticks out the most, of course, is the first one that you hit us with, like, don't take it personal. Well, you didn't say that. The way you said it made me feel comfortable enough to say, they're not trying to hurt me. And that's huge. That is enough to shift, like, the way that you shift perceptions about the way that you see even the situation that you're in as it pertains to your person and the way that they handle money. But then the communicate piece, huge, 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 huge. And then, like I said, the 5 love language, that thing will change like relationships, period. And not just romantic relationships. I'm talking about any kind of relationship, mother-daughter, father-son. Once you can figure out and understand how a person perceives that they are being loved and not just how you decide to, love them, man, it does some things. So
and it's really funny to test it. Like, if your acts of service, or if your significant other's an act of service, and like you go take the trash out, like make sure that they see. It's really funny, like, to see the way that all of that.
Listen, that is my love language, acts of service. Like, so you can buy me all the gifts in the world, but I mean, I don't want them. I mean, not to be a jerk, but that's not how. Yeah. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, when you can tap into what makes that person feel special, man, like they willing to do whatever. They're gonna be Superman for you, or they're gonna be Superwoman for you because they perceive that they're loved. So I want to take this time for you to tell my people, listeners, viewers, where can they find you? I want you to give us phone numbers, emails, websites, social media handles. No, seriously, because I feel like, first of all, you're easy to talk to. So if this is the kind of rapport that you develop with your clients, A++. And then secondly, just from this, like, it ain't even been a whole hour, but just from this short time, I feel like I've gained a lot as it pertains to money matters, more so relationships. And I guess that's what it's about, right? Relationships. Like, if
your
you're dealing
relationship with your money.
Yeah. So where can my people find you?
I love to hang out on Instagram. If this iPad will unlock. I think it worked. She gets the outdated version, so like she can't do as much on there.
Gotcha.
But yeah, Instagram's the place that I love to hang out. So I'm at Aimee Cerka, really simple to find. You'll see the kids, you'll see money stuff, you see real life. Like, this is the way it is the way that I show up as well, because I want you to know it's real.
Yeah.
Turn the volume down, sweetie. Website is aimeecerka.com. Really simple is there. We keep it simple. Email is amy@aimeecerka.com. The phone number is actually in the email if you're on my email list, but nobody ever calls it. It's really funny because like you can put it there and nobody will ever call it.
Right.
And then let's see, if you wanted to see the full training for the 5 steps that I talked about, I recorded this in February. It's supposed to be on my website, but it's kind of like, and it got put off. It's not up there yet. But if you send me a message on Instagram and you want to check it out, we can talk about how to make sure that you get access for that. Let's see, probably the budget makeover guide is what I would grab next. So The budget makeover guide is the PDF guide that I've created. It's 7 steps to help you find the extra you already have in your existing finances. You don't have to make more income. It's already there. You just don't know it. The average person does find $250, and we put this together from the steps that we took. Sweetie, turn it down or bring it here and I'll do it. From the steps that we took, like going through everything. And the important thing again is to actually apply it. So you can grab that. It is on the website. And then because this has been so fun, I can tell y'all about the budgeting. I have my Money Masters Inner Circle as my group program, but I'm creating a budgeting standalone course. And I'm doing like, it's not even really what I would consider a launch. Like you've had to have had conversation with me to even like see this page. Like I'm just reaching out to people, making it like a crazy no-brainer. It's going to be a 4-module course, but we're going to do 4 weeks of group coaching to work through this in July. The page just went live yesterday.
Wow.
It's aimeecerka.com/budget. When I say it's a no-brainer, it's only $7. So that's going to be through the 4th of July. We're going to end it on the 4th because we'll start on the 5th. Yeah, we'll start on the 5th. So just make it really simple. We talk about budgeting. It's called Budgeting Simplified, like walking through the process, because we can have these conversations and I have no problem telling you all the stuff, but I know the problem comes up when we go to implement it, and that overwhelm and that fear kicks in. So that's why we're going to go through this together over the 4 weeks in that group setting as well, just to make sure that this actually sticks. And the way that we talk about budgeting, the way that we teach budgeting, we talk about budgeting for prosperity and not doing it out of a place of lack.
Wow. And it's only $7.
Yep.
It's $7. You're going to spend more than that at McDonald's. I'm just saying.
Yep.
So awesome. Well, man, Aimee, I don't know how to thank you except for to say thank you. I appreciate you giving up your time. I know you're a busy lady. I appreciate Miss Brooklyn making her debut on We Are Not So Different.
Yes.
Thank you, Miss Brooklyn. And I appreciate you for keeping it real. Because like I said, my people know, like we love babies. We love 4-legged ones. Gomorrah has made her debut more times than I care to count. So all is well. Thank you so much for spending your time with me this morning.
Absolutely. I enjoyed it.
And as for you guys, it's Saturday. Go hang outside. It's nice outside. And if it's not, then stay inside. Do what you like, but do something nice for yourself. Until next time.
We are not so different.